Coming to you from the Deep South, this is the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast. High-impact leadership is not reserved for leaders, and it has nothing to do with your position, title, or rank. However, it does have everything to do with your character. It's time to climb to the next level and beyond, personally and professionally. Now, let's start making it happen with your host, Mack Story.
All right, welcome to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast today. Today we're on chapter 26 of 30 as I go through this 30-part series of my book, Blue Collar Leadership and Supervision. Unleash your team's potential. And today, chapter 26 is titled The Weak Links. I talked about this a little bit last time, talked about the low performers, only spending 5% of your time with those people. But the subtitle for this chapter, The Weak Links, the subtitle is Don't Fire Them, Fire Them Up. And that's what your mission is. If they're on the team, they're on the team. If they shouldn't be on the team, that's something you have to do. But if they're on the team, treat them like they're on the team. A lot of times what I've seen leaders do is they don't respect the bottom 5%. They treat them like an outcast. They treat them bad as people. They don't give them opportunities. All kind of things like that. What I'm telling you as a high impact leader, if somebody's on your team, they're on your team. Now, if they shouldn't be on your team, but they are, that's not their fault. That's your fault. What I'm saying is if they're on the team, treat them like they're on the team. You may see a completely different attitude from them. You may see a completely different output, a different outcome. Mike Davis says this: as a leader and ultimately a mentor, you have the responsibility and privilege to grow those around you and help them become their absolute best. And again, remember, low performers, I talked about it last episode, only invest about 5% of your time with the low performers. But that 5% should be invested very intentionally and very positively. And you may move them up. They may not be low performers in the future, so then they'll get more of your time. And if they become a high performer, they're going to get a lot of your time. The team is only as strong as the weakest link on the team. Just like you've heard it probably your entire life. The chain is no stronger than the weakest link. It's the same way with a team. But I can't say it enough. If somebody's on your team, they're on your team. And I'm going to tell you this. Often the weak link on a team is the leader. So if you're the leader, don't be the weak link. But if you got a team of low performers, or if you've been on a team with low performers, you already know the leader's the weak link because the leader's allowing it to happen. A lot of times the leader, again, I talk about this. It's what this whole book is about. Leaders, formal authority leaders, are not developing themselves. When a leader is not growing and developing themselves, the odds are very, very high that they are the weak link on the team. Because a low-impact manager, a low-impact leader of people who doesn't study leadership, who tries just to lead from position, title, and authority, there's no doubt that person is the weak link on the team. Nearly everything that's wrong on a team can be traced back to that weak leader. So don't be the weak link. If you're listening to this, you obviously are trying to get better. And no matter what level you're at relative to your leadership journey, you can always get better. I can always get better. It's why I read every day. I don't think I'm anything special. I think I've got tons of opportunity to get better. And if you're a high impact leader, you believe the same thing. However, low impact leaders out there, a lot of times they don't study this stuff because they think they know all they need to know. So they're missing the entire boat completely. But most weak links can be made strong if they are led by a high impact leader. I've seen it over and over and over and over. If you know my history, you know between 2005 2012, I logged over 11,000 hours leading teams. Pretty much every week I get a new team. Monday, I show up with a new team. Friday, we've done something pretty cool over the past 5 days. And then Monday, I get another new team. So constantly meeting people, constantly meeting weak links. At least that's what their leaders would tell me a lot of times. They would tell me who the weak links were. They didn't use those words, but they were telling me who were going to be problems and all those sort of things. But when I walk in on Monday morning, I put a 10 on everybody's head. And I have been working and growing and developing myself. And I had already learned not to listen to leaders, especially low-impact leaders who don't study leadership, who want to give me an opinion about a person. Because they're telling me about somebody who's following a weak link leader. I'm not a weak link I can't even say that. I'm not a weak link leader. So I get a different result with people than the weak leaders. So managers of people do not have the necessary character to grow and develop the weak links. They don't have the necessary character to be effective leaders of weak links. Weak links are often weak because their leader's weak. I know I'm saying it over and over, but you got to know this. You got to know it, because if you have leaders reporting to you, you've got to grow and develop them so they're not the weak links. You've got to know if you're looking up and there's weak link leaders above you, you got to know the damage they're doing to the organization. You also got to know they're holding you back. Maybe you don't need to be in that organization. Or maybe you got to accept more responsibility so you can become a higher level leader in the organization, grow and develop your influence. But most often, the weak leaders, who are the weak links, they don't choose to grow and develop themselves. If they won't grow and develop themselves, how can they be expected to grow and develop others? They can't. I'm going to say it one more time. In this case, the leader is the weak link. Any leader who is not growing and developing their people intentionally, they are a weak link, because that is what leaders are supposed to do, grow and develop their people. That's why I write most of my books, all of my Blue Collar Leadership series books. They're 30 chapters, 3 pages each, on purpose. So they're easy to read, but also so that high impact leaders can use these books to lead their teams through book studies. A leader who says, "Oh, I'm too insecure," they don't say it out loud. They just say it because they say it by not doing book studies. But what they're saying to themselves is, "I'm insecure. Maybe I can't read well, or I don't want my team to realize I don't know what I'm trying to teach them, because then they'll see how I'm supposed to be." All this stuff, just a bunch of stuff, just a bunch of excuses. But high impact leaders are humble. They say we can all get better, and they understand their job is to help their team get better. So they lead them through book studies. It's exactly why I write these books in this format. It only takes 6 or 7 minutes to go through it with a team. Insecure leaders, managers of people, they look out the window and blame the weak links. They don't know what they don't know. They don't look in the mirror, take the blame, and admit they are the weak link. And I don't know you. I don't even know who's listening to this podcast. But look in the mirror right now. Are you intentionally doing something every week, intentionally, to grow and develop your team? Whether it's a team of leaders who report to you and lead others, or whether you're the leader and you're leading a team of frontline entry-level people. I'm telling you, the truth hurts sometimes. If you're not doing this, you are a weak link on your team. That's what leaders do. It's not what managers do. You may be a high-impact manager and get amazing results. But if you're not doing this stuff, you're not a high-impact leader. That's the truth. I'm here to help you. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not here to blame you. I'm here to get you to look in the mirror and go to the next level. If you're an aspiring leader, you can start leading as a high-impact leader without a formal authority position. What's stopping you from pulling team members who are attracted to you? You can do a book study at break or at lunch or whenever you decide you want to with your team. Become the leader. You don't have to be the formal authority leader. Anybody can lead the way I'm talking about leading. Formal authority leaders should, but most don't. I'm going to tell you something else about insecure low impact leaders, managers of people. They don't develop their people. This is what they do. They replace their people. And they blame the people. So because they don't develop them, they replace them. They either replace them because those people decide to fire them and go find a better leader, or the low impact manager, insecure leader fires the people. So now they got to replace them. So the leader is either being fired or the leader is either firing the people. Either way, they're having to replace them. And ultimately, it's because they're not developing them. Les Brown has this to say. And if you don't know Les Brown, he's like a powerful motivational speaker. Rhea and I had the privilege of, in January 2014, Les actually invited Rhea and me to speak on stage with him at his leadership development training event. He did a 2-day event out in Los Angeles, California. And Rhea and I had been through a lot of training with Les, and Rhea actually won a contest, a speaker contest, doing a 1-minute speech. She was one of 5 people out of 200 or so who won that contest. And the opportunity was that if you won, you got to speak with Les on stage. So I was with her in Los Angeles to speak at that event. She was supposed to be speaking, and we were in the room with Les, and he wanted to know who I was. And, I said I was her husband, but I didn't win the contest, and I wasn't there to speak. And he said, "Oh, yeah, you're speaking too." So it's pretty cool to be invited personally by Les Brown to speak at his event. And so we got to do that. But if you don't know Les Brown and you're looking for some motivation, check him out on YouTube, wherever you can find him. He'll get you fired up. So this is what he says. When you decide to pursue greatness, you are taking responsibility for your life. This means that you are choosing to accept the consequences of your actions and to become the agent of your mental, physical, spiritual, and material success. You may not always be able to control what life puts in your path, but I believe you can always control who you are. Those are the words of Les Brown. So I want to tell you just a quick story. I share a little bit about it in this chapter in the book. I'm not going to read it to you, so it may not be exactly the way I wrote it in the book, but it's the same story. I'm just telling it slightly different, potentially here on this podcast, because I'm not trying to fit it into a certain space, but I'm not going to go into great detail. But I was leading a process improvement team in a manufacturing organization. And I walked in on Monday morning, and the operator who was on the team, who actually worked in the area that we were there to improve, this guy was mad. He was fired up. He didn't want to participate. You could tell right off the bat. And his leader had told me, he was going to be an issue. His leader basically had told me he was a weak link, talking about what this chapter is about. And so the leader was trying to get my mindset around, I'm going to have to deal with this weak link. He wanted me to know who it was. But like I said, I never worried about that. I walked in, I put a 10 on everybody's head till they took it off. And so as I get to talking to everyone, I asked this gentleman, why he's so irritated, because he hadn't even spoke. So finally he started to talk, and then he was irritated because he said the plant manager had told him that I was going to take away his platform, his work platform that he needed to stand on to work on a machine that elevated him up so it was a comfortable working level. And so I would never do that. I didn't know if we were going to do that. But he said his leader had told him I was going to do that. So he was angry at me for something that his leader said I was going to do, that I didn't even know if the team was going to do it. I knew I wasn't going to do it. But the leader had told him, because I had shared with the leader when we had kind of walked through the area to look at the operation, that was a possibility, because I knew a lot of things were going to change, and I knew that machine would be operated in a different flow than it was, and I knew some things were going to move and heights were going to change, and I said that platform may go away. I didn't say I was going to take it away, and I did not say it was going to go away. I said the platform may go away. I said, but don't tell anyone what I'm telling you. I mean, about anything, is what I told that plant manager. Don't tell anybody what I just discussed with you, because I don't know what's going to happen. And whatever happens, it's going to be their idea, because I'm going to lead them through the process and they're going to decide what to do. And because I'm a high impact leader, I already knew what was coming. I've done that thousands of times. I already know what's coming. I know the leader needs to be quiet. Let me go in, lead the team. Don't start playing around with their mind like low impact leaders do. And the reason I knew he was a low impact leader and I had never met him is because they didn't do any leadership development. It was obvious the way he talked to me, the way he talked to his people. He was a low impact manager. So I was trying to lead him in a way to set him up to help me help him so we could be successful. But he did what low impact, insecure leaders do. He went and told this gentleman what was coming, because he wanted to give him time to get over it before it happened, so he wouldn't be so angry in the event. All he did was make the man angry for a week or two before the event actually happened, and probably had the man bad-mouthing me and process improvement and everything else at break and lunch for a week or two. That's what that low-impact leader did. Anyway, so when I walk in, I have to fix that. And I tell this gentleman, we're not taking out anything from this area unless you want us to take it out. You're going to decide. If you don't want to take it out and the plant manager wants to take it out, I'm leaving and I won't ever be back, because I'm not going to support people who are going to treat you like that. I said, if we don't move it this week and next week the plant manager decides we need to move it or you need to move it, you call me, you let me know. Here's my number. I ain't ever coming back, because I ain't going to support leaders that treat you like that. By Wednesday of that week, that gentleman who was so mad on Monday, who actually wanted to, he said he was thinking about cutting my throat the week before, because I asked him, what were you thinking last week about this week? He said, I was thinking I couldn't wait till you got here so I could cut your throat. And he was mad when he said it. He wasn't talking nice like me. He was angry. He was very angry. But by Wednesday of that week, he was on the forklift, hooked to the platform, throwing it in the scrap bin out back. It was a metal platform, and they threw it in the metal scrap bin out behind the plant. So he was all on board. He was not even a weak link at all. This was in 2009. This man still follows me. I probably could go pick up my phone, look at Twitter or Facebook, and see within the last week where he's liked something. That's 10 years ago. But his leader, his low impact manager of people, low impact leader, the plant manager, he was the weak link. That's so funny. That's how people are. They don't know what they don't know. They can't see in the mirror. They got a huge blind spot. The weak link was the guy at the top telling me who the weak links were. That's why he was a weak link to begin with. So we had an amazing week. We actually doubled the output of that sale, the work area. That it wasn't a sale when we started, but it was a sale when we got finished. It was a big cluster when we started. But that gentleman, I talked to him just a few years ago, and he told me, he said, yeah, that week we doubled the output of the sale, 100% increase in productivity. He said, and then later we gained about 50% more improvement as we got used to it and we tweaked little things. And he said, and I got promoted and became a supervisor. But I put a 10 on that man's head and he lived up to it that week. I put a 10 on the plant manager's head the day I walked around and did the tour for the pilot when we had the discussion about not telling everybody anything. I put a 10 on his head by trusting him and telling him and believing in him that he would go do what I didn't want him to do, which was go run his mouth to everybody. But he did. I didn't take the 10 off his head. He did. So I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. And remember, when it comes to the weak links, don't fire them up. And how do you do that? It may start by firing yourself up to do some personal growth and development. Talk to you next time.
Make it happen or someone else will. It might as well be you. Are you serious about taking your career and your life to the next level and beyond? Check out Mack Story's Blue Collar Leadership series books and others, now available on audio, along with paperback and ebooks at Amazon, iTunes, and Audible. Please visit bluecollarleadership.com to learn about Mack's books, programs, special offers, certifications, and more. Thank you for listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast.